Hey, what's up, everybody? Bryan Clayton here. For those of you guys that aren't familiar with me, my name is Bryan Clayton. I'm currently the CEO of GreenPal, which is like the Uber for lawn mowing. GreenPal is a mobile app, connects homeowners with local lawn care professionals. We're live nationwide. Got over 200,000 homeowners that use the platform and over $20 million in sales right now. Before that, I had a landscaping company that I built from just myself and a push mower to over 150 employees and over $10 million in revenue. Sold that company in 2013. So I've been in entrepreneurship for 20 years and happy to answer your questions. Happy to help you guys out with whatever you might be stuck with. So let's go to the questions that we have from the group. First question is from Law Jackson. Question they ask: I could use some help staying on course while I build up revenue. What are some affordable ways to stay accountable with my sales and process implementation? Background of the question is: thanks to 8 months of membership, I have a basic sales process, a short list of vendors, a project manager in training. I thought sales was my biggest problem. Then I thought it was my limited capacity. Now I know my poor system of processes. I figured out my processes from sales to production. It's not perfect, but it works. The real pain is removing myself from the different stages and still getting quality results. You may remember I'm transitioning away from freelancer mode. It's still pretty much just me. I have to lose I have a loose plan with hundreds of little things to do each week. What are some ways to implement process, improve my ability and delegate my sales process? Do you think an accountability group would help? Yeah, a mastermind group would probably be a good way to help you stay the course. It sounds like you've got a personal psychology issue, and what I mean by that is that you need some bigger reason to stay at this thing every single day to stay the course. Like there's a bigger issue at play here. It's like, what is the purpose? Why are you getting out of bed? Why are you doing what you're doing? Like, for me to live an interesting life, you need to have purpose in your life, and your business can be the source of that purpose. And so if you don't have that at your business, it's always going to feel like work. It's always going to feel like a job. It's always going to feel like you're pushing on a string. Whereas if you're just fired up to crush it in your business, and you're fired up to win and be successful and to get to the next level of business, then that kind of takes care of itself. So there might be some of that. It's not a particularly easy issue to fix, but you might really just get fired up about some goals and just be willing to do whatever it takes to get there. Like, so let's say, I don't know what your revenue is right now. Let's say you're at $1 million in revenue right now and you want to get to $5 million in revenue, and you want to do that in 3 years. Well, then let's lay that out into some real goals that you can tackle and achieve, and celebrate those wins. So let's say over the next 12 months, you really want to get to a $2 million in revenue, and so then you gotta. So that's your output metric. That's the goal. That's where we want to be. But then you got to really dial down and look at what your input metrics are. So it might be like, what are the things you need to be doing every single day, week, month to get to the output metric. So let's say if we want to increase sales by $1 million, we have to really look at what are the things we have to do every single day. And it might be we have to cold call more people. It might be we have to close more deals. It might be we have to win back more business that we lost. Looking at those little things that you need to be doing on a day-to-day basis and really dialing it into those is how you can kind of keep the momentum going, keep the wins going, and keep your psychology engaged to crush it. I don't mean to answer it from a high level point of view, but I think that's kind of what you're needing. Is you're needing like a overarching macro reason to really get in here and identify these goals, crush these goals, and then lay out the day-to-day things you can do to get there. Hope that answers your question. Next question is from Bob Girgy. How do you know when to call it quits on a business idea? Business description and background is over the past decade, I've launched 5 or 6 businesses, set up e-commerce sites, obtained sales, then stopped when I didn't believe I could turn a profit. Now with my current venture, I'm at the same spot. Not sure I could push forward, switch gears. It's a tough question. Me personally, I think the only way to lose is by giving up. So I feel like you never give up, but I feel like you can learn things along the way and pivot and iterate into different directions. I think the thing that causes a lot of people to not be successful is because they give up too soon. Um, that said, it takes 5, 6, 7 years to really get a business off the ground and going, and you have to understand that before you start any of these ventures that you're talking about. So it's like, yeah, on the one hand, you can tell pretty quick if what you have is not working, but on the other hand, you need to know that it's going to take 3, 5, 6, 7 years to really make something become successful. So there's no one clear, like, one answer to this question. Yes, on the one hand, you need to be able to know when it's time to pivot, not necessarily give up and quit, but pivot into a different direction. It's like, okay, I've been doing this business for a year. I know what I'm doing is not working, but I've identified these 2 or 3 other things that I think would work better. That pivoting in that direction is okay, but then again, also, like, just staying the course on something for 3, 4, 5 years in most cases is what gets a business off the ground. And a lot of times entrepreneurs, after a year, they just they don't stay the course. They don't do the things they're supposed to be doing. They don't want to do literally the hard work, and so they give up, and then they start on something else, and they kind of spin their wheels and waste 5, 10 years doing that. So I would look at, again, setting out small little goals in the business and crushing those. So it says here, elevator pitch. Over the past 2 years, I developed a skincare and massage product. I'm looking to build a brand and a company around it. So you're developing a new product. It sounds like, and that's hard. It's not easy, but like laying out these goals and saying, let's get to $1,000 a month in sales. Then let's get to $10,000 a month in sales. Then let's get to $100,000 a month in sales. And like laying out all the things you need to be doing on a day-to-day basis to get there. Do that for 2 or 3 years before you give up. And if it's just not working, it's just not working. But learn something along the way to apply that to something that would work. So hope that answers your question. It's one of those things where, on the one hand, if it's not working, you need to pivot, not give up, but pivot into a different direction based on what you've learned. But on the other hand, know it's going to take 3 or 4 or 5 years to get anything going. Next question from Mary Rentacalio. Sorry if I mispronounced your last name. Question they ask: how do I determine how to pay someone to work for me? Business description and background: I have a therapy machine for horses, and now I have found a person to hire to use it. What would be the best salary alternative? Hourly paid, pay per treatment. One treatment is 30 minutes. Minimum charge is $50. The person knows a lot about people and is located in a training center for horses. The demand is right away. I am a veterinarian currently working with small animals as a contractor. Okay, so it's tough to hire your first employee. In a way, you're kind of doubling your business. So it's one of the hardest things that you're going to have to do in terms of growing a business from scratch. Anytime you can hire somebody and pay them to be aligned with the output of the business, the better. So in terms of, like, one 30-minute treatment is $50. If you could work out a revenue share and say, I'll give you 60% or 50% or 40% of the sales, and you handle everything turnkey, the reaching out to the customer, bringing the customer in, handling the service, getting paid. If you can put as much of the process onto them, and then revenue share with them, then you won't have to micromanage them. You won't have to breathe down their neck. You won't have to get upset that they're not working really hard. and more ownership is placed onto them. So then you provide the facility, the equipment, the brand, the maybe a little bit of customer support, maybe a little bit of sales, and then they can handle as much of that as possible. That is the best case scenario to hire somebody, particularly your first employee, because a lot of the onus is on them to bring in the revenue. Now, that may not work out because the work might be hit or miss, and you might have to pay them some sort of flat salary. There is a minimum wage that you need to pay them regardless. But the better that you can make it to where the incentives are aligned, and they are aligned to do a good job, aligned to work hard because they make more money, the better. And so the question is, like, how do you know when you're ready? When you can't do the work anymore because there's so much of it, and you know you're leaving money on the table, then it's time to bring somebody in. If you're sitting around twiddling your thumbs and you wish you had more of these appointments to knock out, then it's not time to bring somebody in. But literally, like, you can't get to all of the demand. It's time to bring another person in. Don't hire somebody too quickly, because then you might lose money, or they won't be able to make enough money with you. So really try to identify that sweet spot of, okay, I cannot get to all of my appointments. I need to bring somebody in to help me. So then I can look at focusing on other parts of the business in terms of better marketing, better demand creation, better processes around how we handle the horses, how we bring them in, how we execute our service, working on the business rather than in the business. An employee can help free you up to do those kind of higher leverage activities. So that's when you bring somebody in, is when you can't get to all of the work yourself. And when you do, try to align the pay structure to be aligned to where the harder they work, the more money they make. It don't I would shy away from anything hourly rates or salaries, because you're just going to end up micromanaging them, and create an environment for yourself that is not going to be fun. Next question, Zach Williams. How can we differentiate ourselves and build a moat in a saturated market? Background of the question: we sell houseplants online and provide a wealth of plant care tips and information. We were a fairly early mover in the trend, but the market is saturated, and competition is increasing, and therefore the cost of a new customer is increasing. We have been focusing on product, on producing content, increasing our returning customer rate, and lowering our prices, but we are looking for some other ways to build a moat and differentiate ourselves in our market. We built by advisors for advisors, for empowering reps to be their client's CIO. Okay, so how do you create a moat in a competitive market? So you sell houseplants. So it's not like you're selling a commodity off the shelf. And so it's a house plant. It's got to be in good health. It's got to arrive a certain way. It's got to, like, the packaging has to be just right. So there's a lot of, like, nuance that goes into your business. It sounds like that stuff is getting abstracted away, and is getting commoditized by competition, which is tough, and that's going to happen in any business. So then you have to really figure out, okay, am I going to go up market in terms of selling types of exotic houseplants that nobody else sells, and I'm going to carve out a niche in selling orchids, or a certain type of exotic plant from South America that nobody can get their hands on, or something like that? Am I going to go up market and try to, like, differentiate myself in terms of offering a type of product that nobody else does? Or am I going to go downstream and just further compete, and figure out ways to reduce costs and increase processes in my business, and flat out just do it quicker, cheaper, faster, to where I can sell a better house plant at a better price, and then compete that way? You kind of have to strategically figure that out, and figure out where you want to compete, because you're always going to compete. Question around how do I build a moat around my business? Well, it's hard to do. In fact, in most businesses, it's it's almost impossible to do. You're always going to be dealing with competition. Uh, you're always going to be competing. It's just really hard to do. One way to do it is just to build the flat out best brand in your market for what you do, and brand can be a moat. Brand can create defensibility. When you go to when you go to a hotel anywhere in the world, you want to stay at the Four Seasons because that brand has that reputation. And that's a moat that Four Seasons has created around it over a 20, 30 year period of time. So one way you can create that moat through brand is some things you touched on. It's just flat out better content creation. You can fire up your YouTube channel, and every single week you are giving away free tips on how to care for houseplants, and particularly these exotic houseplants that you might be bringing in, like, or houseplants that people have never seen before. I just got back from South America, that's why it's top of mind, and they have plants down there that I've never seen. And so maybe you're trying to identify ways to bring those to the marketplace in the United States, and your YouTube channel is talking about that. My whole point here is that these are unique things. It's not the same thing that everybody's talking about. So how do you like create that type of content to where you create this kind of brand around the flat out best way in the world to get the best quality houseplants? That's one way to do it. The other way to help build that moat is to look at your value proposition. Your value proposition is flat out, if I am your ideal prospect, why would I do business with you versus anybody else? Let me say that again. If I am your ideal prospect, meaning I'm somebody that buys houseplants, that loves houseplants, why would I choose to do business on your website versus any of these other competitors that you're talking about? That's your value proposition. You really have to look at how you punch that up and how you flat out are just the best way in the world for somebody to get a house plant in their home, and then that can help you create defensibility and create a moat. So when you talk about moats, you talk about Apple. Apple has moats through network effects and brand and technology advantages and all sorts of other dynamics around platforms that where you are stuck in their little ecosystem, and that's how they've created a moat. So the more you can, are we ever going to like build small businesses to the degree Apple has built their empire? No, but we can look at that and look at ways to maybe get ideas to create moats around our business. And so for you, it might be a subscription. It's like, okay, you are locked into us because you pay us $49 a month, and we will send you a new house plant every 3 months or something like that. Or a subscription. It's like you bought this orchid, and we have the flat out best subscription service for that orchid, where we send you the stuff you need every month to keep it alive. So thinking about ways to create lock-in and stickiness around what you're doing will help you get more towards a moat. Hope that helps. Next question. And Anisa Fajardo. Question they ask: when first starting out with minimal clients and minimal budget, how would you start growing your email list to market to? Business description: I am a financial coach selling to individuals who need financial education and planning. Okay, so how do we build up an email list of clients to market to? Because we want to sell them financial education and planning. The first thing I would say is, why do we want this email list? Do we think if we have a list of 100,000 people, we can just spam them and sell them financial planning services? Probably not. So I would look at like the why behind this question first. Yes, an email list is good. Email is one of the best channels that you can invest in, but it's more for nurturing. It's more for nurturing an existing base. It's more for um, I already have 1,000 people, and I want those 1,000 people to remember me and to reach out to me if they need me. So email is more for retention, not for getting started. So I would reframe this question and I would say, okay, I'm just getting started out as a financial coach. How do I hustle up my first 10, 20, 30 clients? And email's not the answer for that. I would do stuff like I would do stuff like pumping up my Instagram with as much as I could in terms of free content. Um, there's a really good guy on Instagram that does this for CPAs, and I cannot remember his name right now. But there's a dude that like is a CPA, a professional CPA for small businesses, and he's just giving out free content all the time on tax tips and stuff like that. If you can think like that first, okay, how do I create the best Instagram account in terms of free advice for being a financial coach? And then I would get on Quora and I would spend an hour a day on Quora answering people's questions for free. And then I would create a kick-ass blog where I did one really good post every single week on questions that people have. And then I would get on I would repurpose all of this stuff onto all of the other platforms like LinkedIn and Facebook and maybe even Snapchat and TikTok. I would be doing all of those things and delegating out like 2 or 3 hours a day for each of those just to create my little brand. And then I would start buying Facebook ads and Instagram ads to drive people to my subscription list. To people say, okay, you come to my website. These are the 10 ways we're going to get you to $1 million net worth in 10 years. Here's the top 10, and then if you want my free guide, enter your email address here, and I'll give you a free guide, and then we'll give you tips every month on how to get to $1 million net worth in 10 years. Whatever your pitch is, whatever your value proposition is. And that's how I would build up an email list. And then that email list is how I would nurture those people and get them to buy whatever it is I'm trying to sell in terms of like ongoing coaching. So there's no like step one, get an email list. It's like step 1 through 10, develop a product, a voice, a platform, something that people regularly consume and tune into because they're interested in what you're talking about. Get them to opt into your newsletter, your free product, and then that's how you develop your email list. Next question. Demarius Tukes. After you set a larger goal and you know what it takes to achieve, how do you stay focused along the way? Background question. I do not have a business yet. I am working towards saving $10,000 by June 1st so I can have capital when I do. I am asking this question because sometimes I feel lost and I do not know what I want to do in life. It could be that I'm not sure how to express myself in what I've done while I'm working to save money. How do I not get lost in the process? When you're young like me and your purpose in life, how do you find it and what do you do in the meantime? Okay, so this happens a lot. For me, it's what's helpful is look at business like a video game, like level 1 through 10. And all you need to worry about is just getting through level one. And the problem is a lot of people in business, they're worried about Bowser on level one. And you don't even need to worry about Bowser. You just need to throw up that flag on level one. All you need to do is focus on getting through that first board, get a business going, get your first $1,000 a month or $10,000 a month in revenue, and don't even worry about anything else until you get through that. Then after that, you get to level two, and level two might look like, okay, we need to get to $250,000 a year in revenue. And then after that, you look at level three. Okay, level three is we need to get to $500,000 a year in revenue. So it's like you don't even need to worry about any of these other things. Like the nature of your question is like, after you set a larger goal and you know what it takes time to achieve it, how do you stay focused along the way? You stay focused by just focusing on little goals along the way, not even worrying about these big things because they can dilute your focus and they can dilute your decision making, and you don't even need to worry about that stuff. You just need to look at what each level is and get through that level and move on to the next level. And then after about 5 or 10 years, you'll look back and you'll say, "Wow, look how far I've come." And then but you also have so much further to go. That's one of the beautiful things about business is that it can apply like purpose to your life. It can apply like a roadmap to your life that you're trying to get through. So that's how I would look at it. Next question, Abraham Marcos. At what point am I crossing the line between boss and employee? I recently hired a new employee. We've been paying him day to day to get him back on his feet. Recently, we decided to have him go full time and put him on payroll. I've already given him a pay advance, and he asked today if I would be interested in buying some HVAC material left over from a side job he did a while back. I know this would help him but a bit, but I am crossing the line between boss and employee. I'm really not sure how I feel about this, and I want to make the right decision, keep it professional. Okay, let me reread this real quick. So it sounds like you're kind of dating this guy. Like you want to bring him on the team, but it's day to day, and it's kind of like ad hoc and it's fluid almost. It's and so it's like um, you need to like you need to make that an official relationship with them. You don't want this situation where somebody's kind of working for you and they're kind of not, and they are your friend, and there's no professional relationship there. The answer to your question is to keep it official, keep it professional. If you want this person to work for you, you need to first come to the conclusion that you can afford to pay them, that you have enough work to pay them, and then make an official relationship between you and them. Set out a job description, lay out what their role is and what their goals are going to be. Bring them on and put them into your business in an official capacity, and not keep it in this gray area of friend uh, uh, boss relationship. You need to make that an official relationship, or else it's just going to always be kind of a gray area, kind of a mess, kind of the way you're outlining it. Now, it could be that you don't have the demand to bring on an employee just yet, and you kind of need somebody here and there to fill in and help you out, and to help you fill in the gaps. And that's okay too. It's okay to do that for a few months or a year until you really figure out your marketing and how you bring new business into the business. And that's when you can really afford to bring somebody on full time. But when you make that decision to bring that person on full time, it needs to be an official one. They need to be in an official capacity. It doesn't need to be in this gray area. Next question. Roland from Roland Bernath. How do I create new structure within the company? Okay, business description. Our family business is a decor and seasonal retail wholesale store. In the store, we employ a total of 10 people. The company grew over time, but there never was time and energy allocated to systematically grow it. Currently, the employees are all rotating between being a cashier, unpacking inventory, sticking labels on inventory, placing inventory on shelves. Everybody is doing everything. Sometimes I feel like no one's doing anything. They are not responsible. There are a lot of mistakes. I need a proper job description and tasks. I believe I need to divide the store into segments, sales and product handling, create new responsibilities, etc. This is a typical situation that most small businesses face. Don't feel bad. My first business, I grew to 150 employees, and I had this same problem throughout times of building that business. The first thing you need to do is read a book called The E-Myth by Michael Gerber. The whole point of this book is to solve the problem that you are outlining. And in the book, the author talks about creating an org chart, literally going to the whiteboard and saying, okay, I'm the owner, and I'm the CEO of this business, and your name's in the top. And then you might have like a head of inventory. You might have a person who's head of accounting. You might have a person who is head of marketing, person who is head of packing and shipping and order fulfillment. a person who is head of customer complaints and returns, a person who cleans the shop, a person like, and so all of these like little tasks and all of these roles within your company, and then your name might be on a lot of these roles, by the way, and that's okay. But the point is you need to identify all of the roles in your business and all of the goals behind every one of those roles. So roles and goals, and then putting people's names on every single one of these roles and laying out a legitimate scope of work, a job description, a a set of objectives that every single one of those people needs to be focused on, and creating the process around every single one of those roles. Then and only then will you be able to get a handle on this problem of everybody's doing everything and nobody's doing nothing. Going through your business and creating systems around what every role is, what every goal is, and who's in charge of it and why, and creating the McDonald's like style process around what your business is doing. It might take you a year, 2 years, 3 years to accomplish this, but if you don't, you'll be stuck in this same rut that you're in right now 5 years from now. So, step one: read the E Myth by Michael Gerber or listen to it on Audible. And step two: systematically implement everything that book talks about. It will change your life. Next question, Brianna Carroll. What is the best method for ensuring franchisees stay true to all branding processes and systems put in place? Business background. I co-own a franchise called Wow Mom's World, which is a multi-service center for families, including play place, fitness, cafe, swim, spa. I was informed there is one franchisee who is continually not complying to franchisor standards. My partners have put me in charge of handling all U.S. franchisees and asked me to go visit locations in the new year. We already have franchisee signed agreements which state compliance, a franchisee checklist to go through, and they have multiple times and they have asked her multiple times to change certain things. They feel they have lost her respect, so sending me in to handle it. What is the typical franchise protocol for the situation, and how often should a franchisor visit franchisees when they're not complying? Any advice is appreciated. Wow Moms is an upscale multi-service center for modern families focusing on parental well-being and child stimulation. Good question. I've never ran a franchise, so I'm not an expert in handling this. But what I would do if I was in your shoes, there's a motto: inspect what you expect. So you have to live and die by that motto. Nobody's going to follow the process just their uh, out of their good nature or good heart. They're going to do what they want to do, and you have to have the process in place to ensure that they are following your standards, whatever that is. That could be secret shoppers. It could be you going around, checking up on them quarterly, just out of us, just by surprise. I would create both processes around both of those. I would have secret shoppers going in and taking pictures and videos of what's going on a monthly basis at a minimum. Otherwise, what's the point of the franchise if you can't deliver that consistency and that reliable experience on the ground? There really is no point for the franchise to even exist. So you have to have a process in place to ensure that these people are following the brand standards and are executing whatever it is that you have laid out for them. And something that's routine and is random and is continual. That's the only way to solve this problem. If it's ad hoc, like, and it sounds like from the nature of your question, and it's ad hoc, it's like, hey, they're not doing what we want them to do. Go check it out. I mean, that's better than nothing, but it needs to be something on a relentless, continual basis. I would read a book by Ray Kroc called "Grinding It Out." As you know, Ray Kroc's the founder of McDonald's, or was, and in that book he talks about this same exact problem that you're dealing with, especially in the early days of McDonald's, how they ensured continual the adoption and execution of the McDonald's brand and the standards around that is basically the same problem that you're dealing with. How they did that back in the 50s and 60s was a lot harder than today. Today we have digital means by way of checking up, making sure these things are being executed on the ground, and it could even be installing. I mean, this sounds a little weird, but installing some sort of surveillance system in each one of these units under the means of security, but also so you can check up on them. That would be how I would handle the problem. And our last question of the day from Dan Razumovsky. Razumovsky. For generating leads, what is the best way to spend money? Home Advisor? Question mark. Should I spend money on SEO? Should I hire an agency to take care of all these needs? Should I focus on one platform or spread it out? Business description. Currently, I have 3 websites. I will be building, okay, aeoinc.com, aeoroofs.com, aeoinc.net. I will be building aeodex.com. I will be building out websites so they be more specialized to help with SEO and have a wider reach of people. I do not know what direction I should head with marketing. Hire different freelancers to manage Google ads, Facebook ads. If I use Home Advisor, they send it to 5 people. All right, let me read the rest of this. Okay, this is a construction company specializing in decks, roof replacements, looking to grow to 5 locations in the state of California. Okay, so a lot going on in this question. I would focus. I would only do one channel at a time and figure out if it's working. So the answer to your question is it depends. It could be that SEO is the best channel for you, or Facebook ads, or Google ads, or maybe even LinkedIn ads, or Twitter ads, or who knows, Snapchat or TikTok ads. Who knows? Um, the answer to your question is focus. Focus on one channel at a time. You mentioned here $2,000 a month on advertising. I would what they call fire bullets, then cannonballs. I would focus on one channel, and Home Advisor might be the best one. A lot of people crap on Home Advisor and Angie's List, but I mean these are targeted leads looking for people who want decks, want roofs. So maybe you spend your $2,000 on Home Advisor, Angie's List, and Thumbtack. That's really kind of one channel. Those are all kind of the same thing. And just see if you can say, okay, if I spend $2,000, I can get $20,000 in sales. And then I would just keep doing that until it didn't work anymore. And then I would look at, okay, I know this channel works. I know that I'm getting 5 times or 10 times the amount of money I put in, I get out in sales. And then I would look at layering on another channel, Facebook ads. Okay, let's try to spend 2 or 5 or $10,000 a month in Facebook ads, and I would hire a digital marketing agency to manage those for me. I would really rigorously interview them. You can get on Upwork.com and hire freelancers to handle a lot of these things. Upwork does a good job of making it pretty simple to where you can cycle through them if they're not working out. The point is I would layer these channels on individually, one at a time, as I identified that the economics behind them was working. Meaning, I spent 2,000 and I got 10,000 back. If you spent 2,000 and got 1,000 back, well then that channel's not working. Or maybe there's some things that need to be tweaked with what you're doing there. But I wouldn't try to do everything at once because then you really don't know what is working. Hope that answers your question. Hope that answers everybody's questions. Hope everybody got some value out of today's session. Anybody that wants to reach out, just hit me up on LinkedIn. And I hope everybody has a great rest of the year and good luck in business. Keep crushing it. Keep doing the good work and keeping up the good fight. I will see y'all next month.